to an hour. And then I started putting together some of the things that we've done and realized that I can probably talk about this for hours. So this is going to be very informal. There are only a few of us in the room, so feel free at any time to jump in, ask questions, anything that I can do to help. I'm sure that I'm going to share a lot of resources today. We'll be showing you some different things that we do. So anything that you would like access to in the future, just please reach out to Katie or to Melissa or to me, and we can get you all of that that information. So without any further ado, so I'm coming to you today from Noble Local School District. We are located in Sarasville, Ohio, which is kind of central Southeast Ohio. So we're kind of right there in the middle. Noble County is home to two school districts. So Noble Local as the district where we are, and then we also share the county with Caldwell Exempted Village. Those are the only two schools in the county. And Noble County is the last of Ohio's 88 counties to form. And I kind of think of that as our model. So we are very much about partnerships and about how we can all work together to do what's in the best interest of our students, because our students are our future. So a little bit about our county and our district. So our county population is 6,239 according to the 22 census. Our student population here is 1,096. So we are roughly a sixth of the population, or I'm sorry, are part of Noble Local School District. That does include pre-K all the way up through 12. Our school district is 234 square miles without a stoplight. And that's going to be important in the conversation that I have later. So when we talk about career development, career exploration, we are rural to the point of not having a lot of business and industry within our school district. And I think the next statistic that our average travel time to work for our people in this district is 31 minutes. So most of our people are driving either to other locations in the county. We have a large population of our people that leave the county to go to work. And so when we talk about career exploration, we're really looking at what can we expose our students to here in our district? How can we get them that experience without having to put them on a bus and drive them outside of the district? So a lot of the work that we do is relevant to that. I also put in here, so our percent below poverty level is 21.9% in this county. At the state average, it's about 15.7. So we do have a higher poverty level here with our students. And percent of the population not in the workforce is 33.3% of our population does not work at all. And so a lot of our students are very limited in their exposure to careers, to what's available to them, and so on. So I wanted to start with the why. And if you've ever heard me present before, you've heard me talk about this, and I will not spend a lot of time on it. 10 years ago, we were using the student experience survey from Gallup. And what we found was that our students were not showing that they had signs of hope. They did not believe that their future would be better than their today. They did not think that their lives would be better than that of their parents. We literally are one of 5 schools in the country that is named after a disaster, which was the crash of the Shenandoah Zeppelin in the 1920s. And so our kids really didn't have a lot to look forward to. And as a staff, we came together and decided that we really wanted to change that. We know that we were going to be the catalyst for change, not only for our kids, but for our county. And so we started asking some very specific questions. What do we want for our kids? What do we want them to dream about, to hope for, to look forward to in their future? What skills, what do we need to train them? How do we train them to reach those goals? What do we need to do to get them ready for that 21st century and beyond workforce that was coming? And what will happen in this community as a result of the work that we do? And so that was kind of the guiding force early on around our career advising and development. Because I have so much I wanted to talk about today, I was trying to figure out what is the best way to explain this. And so I'm going to be using the 8 factors of career advising. This is from the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce Career Connections Framework. They developed 8 factors around career advising. So for schools, all schools now have a career advising plan. We'll be looking at ours here in just a few minutes, but I am going to be talking about this in terms of those 8 factors. So this is a little all over the place. I'll try to make connections as best I can, but again, if you have questions, please ask. So the first component that ODU talks about is self-awareness, and this is referring to individuals identifying their own interests, their skills, their work values, figuring out what it is that they are going to be good at. What kind of careers are they best suited to do? Where do their interests lie? There was research done several years ago, and they asked students in kindergarten what they wanted to be when they grew up. And kids gave answers like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a ballet dancer, I want to be a ball player. Well, ironically, they asked those same students when they turned 16, what do you want to be when you grow up? Their answers hadn't changed drastically, despite the fact that there are literally thousands of careers out there. And what they found was that students were naming careers for which they had experience. They had seen those jobs. They had seen teachers, and so they wanted to become teachers. They had been to a doctor, and so they wanted to become doctors. And so how do we open up that field to expose students to careers that they've never even experienced? Realistically, how do we get kids ready for jobs that don't yet exist? And so one of the things that we really focus on here is that self-awareness piece. We do career interest inventories. This is nothing new. Counselors, career advisors have done this since I was in school, looking at what are you interested in? There are great ones out there. Most of them, a lot of them are free. We used to use the Ohio Means Jobs backpacks as our tool. That has become a little bit more difficult now with the OHID process for students. And so we've looked at expanding that. What other career interest inventories are available? We use a multitude of them. We have classroom teachers who use their own. We have partners who come in and will do career interest inventories. Most of them are very similar. They're focusing on what kids like to do versus what they don't like to do. And it will help kind of narrow down, these are some careers related to things you're interested in. What we were finding, though, was that students' interests were not always directly aligned to what they were already good at. And so we started this year really focusing on aptitude. So what are those natural, we know that some kids are naturally good at working in groups. Some work better independently. We have kids that are very sequential thinkers. We have kids that are big picture thinkers. How do we get kids to really start focusing on those aptitudes? This year, we have started using the U-Science program in grades 7 through 12, which utilizes brain games to help students kind of hone in on those aptitudes, those things they're naturally good at. And it also, U-Science aligns them to careers that are directly impacted by their aptitude. So it might come back with a report that says, this is a list of careers for which you are naturally suited. Our job then is to take their interests and their aptitudes and find those careers that align to both to help narrow their choices amongst the thousands of jobs that are out there. Next year, we are going to be utilizing a program through GRIT. They do also their own aptitude program. We're going to be adding that to our programming next year. So more to come on that. The other program that we use with our students to help build self-awareness, we use the Clifton Strengths, which is through Gallup. Clifton Strengths has students, again, do some self-assessments. It creates a report, and it helps students see what their strengths are. For example, my number one strength is that I'm strategic. I look at things step by step by step. I'm a long-term planner. And so that it helps me see what those programs, those courses of study, those jobs that I might be naturally good at based on my strengths. And so we're really putting together a portfolio of aptitude, interest, and strengths for students that really help them focus. So our goal is to have a group of sophomores that aren't saying, I have no idea what I want to do after high school, but rather a group that has said, okay, these are some things I've looked at based on my interest, based on my strengths, based on my aptitude. Let's focus on those. And then we start planning from there. So we start with the job shadowing and internships in those areas to give them even more experience. The last piece that I put on the self-awareness, this is related to, we call it our 3R rubric. So we started seeing that our students were academically getting stronger. We were focusing more on career exploration. They were learning, getting credentials, doing a lot of things, but some of them still weren't work ready. Some of them still weren't showing up. Our Business Advisory Council, which I'll talk about here in a few minutes, in our early meetings with that group, basically said to us, we're going to train our employees in our jobs. We can train them. We'll provide the credentialing, the certification, some of that. What we need is we need people who show up every day on time, drug-free, ready to work. And that's where the 3R rubric comes in. And I'm going to apologize in advance. So my tech skills are not great. So I may have to fumble around a little bit, but this is an example of our 3R rubric. This comes directly from the Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seal. We pulled language directly from that. Our teachers worked very hard to put this together. It started at our high school, worked its way down to our elementary school. They're now using this in a kid-friendly version as early as kindergarten. And we're looking at what does it mean to be ready, responsible, and respectful. So we've tied this to PBIS. We've tied this to Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seals. We use this form. Our teachers evaluate our students using this rubric a minimum of 2 times per year. This is a report that gets sent home to parents separate from report cards. So academics, that's one piece of it. Work readiness is the other, and that's what this is. And so we start talking to our kids about what it means to be ready, to arrive on time, ahead of schedule, coming prepared. What does that look like? And I'm going to get into a little bit later some additional programming that we use that is around this. But this tool is used by our staff to evaluate students on a regular basis. We also use this when they get to high school, junior, senior year, when we start doing some work-based learning, more internship, pre-apprentice, and so on. Students have to score a minimum of 2 in every category in order for us to allow them to go out and do that workforce development in the field. And so this gives us a picture of, where are they, what work still needs to be done, and helps us with conversations with parents, with workforce employers, and so on. And Katie, I'm going to ask, are you kind of monitoring the chat? If we have any questions, feel free to jump in and ask me.
Yep, I am, Beth. And before you move on, we did have a question if GRIT was a free program.
So GRIT is free. And I believe, I don't want to say a whole lot about it because we're early in the program and I don't know a ton about it. I do know that it covers a large part of Ohio. It is not limited to school age people. It actually goes up and can work for adults as well. But GRIT covers training. They do credentialing, certification programs. GRIT does a lot of stuff. And again, it's very early. I don't know a ton about it yet, other than I know we're going to be working with them in the future, getting some of our kids credentialed and certified and doing some additional work.
Thank you for sharing the link, Melissa. And Emily, I will add, I believe the funding that GRIT has available to provide these services for free is limited to the 32 Appalachian counties in Ohio. So I'm not sure where you are from, but I believe it is limited to those 32 Appalachian indicated counties to provide those services for free. And if you are from Southeast Ohio, please join us at the Success Bound and Appalachian STEM Collaborative tomorrow because GRIT will be there doing a breakout session. Just another little plug.
I would say
Back to
very
you,
nice
Beth.
plug, Katie. Very nice segue. Okay. All right. So the next area for is academic support. This is encompasses. This is where we get into those educational strategies, tutoring, supplemental courses, summer learning, after school programs, mentoring, teacher advising, and so on. So some of the things that we've done here at Noble Local, and this is a lot of, I've asked a lot, like, how did you guys start? If we had a starting point, what is it? One of the starting points for Noble Local 10 years ago was that we really revisited our grading policies, how we were grading students. So we really want to focus on growth and getting these kids ready for that next level. We had to revisit grading policy. We do not give zeros in the school district. We don't accept we don't deduct points for late work. We hold to the belief that all students will learn, but they aren't all going to learn at the same time, at the same level, at the same whatever. And so we don't do zeros. We don't give bonus points. We truly grade based on acquisition of standards. The resource for that, we did a group book study here 10 years ago called A Repair Kit for Grading, 15 Fixes for Broken Grades. Dr. Ken O'Connor is the author of that. It was a great starting point for us to really look at what is important. What are we placing value on as a district? What happened of that inadvertent consequence of the grading policy changes here is that we also ended up with a lot of students who were not turning work in on time, who were not studying for tests because they knew we were going to do reassessments. Actually created quite a burden for our teachers. So that's my cautionary tale. And so then we looked at The Power of ICU by Danny Hill. And what the ICU does is it produces a list of students who have not yet completed work. We then appointed, so the next two things, we appointed lifeguards. So we have a teacher who is a lifeguard every single period of the day. That means they have I don't want to call it a free period, but they have a period when they are not teaching content courses. They are lifeguarding so that they can go around to our study halls throughout the day and work with students one-on-one who are on the ICU list, who don't have their work completed, who haven't gotten, who are struggling to get their assessments up to the level that we want it to be at. We also started what we call on target. So we have every day, we have an on-target period, which is somewhat similar to what a lot of schools do with an advisory period. But ours is specifically built around that grading policy. This is a time when our teachers can do reteaching, they can do intervention, they can do enrichment for students who need to maybe move beyond where they are. It also is an opportunity for students to get caught up on work. We do a lot of when colleges come in to visit or we have businesses come in and want to be in front of kids, we do that during that on-target period. Our teachers draft their students. So every teacher has an on-target group of between 12 and 14 students. Those students are selected by their teachers. Let's say that they have a student with whom they have a really good relationship. So maybe our ag teacher may pull a student who's very active in FFA. That may be in their on-target group. But what this does is it gives them a small group of students for which they are really, really focused. We do have what we call an OT spreadsheet. And I can get you access to this, but the OT spreadsheet, our teachers have, our students have, students are tracking their grades. They're tracking their 3R rubric scores, any credentials they've earned, certificates they've earned, whatever career exploration they've done, whether it be a field trip or an internship, or if they've spoken to someone in business and industry, job shadowing. They keep track of all that on the OT spreadsheet. Now, the reason that's important is we have a small counseling staff here. I'll get into that on the next screen. And our caseload is basically our entire district. So as the college career readiness coach, I am the coach for the entire district. So I have over 1,000 students. That is almost impossible to track. It's not impossible for a teacher to track 12. and to keep track of their spreadsheet to encourage them to get that done. Mondays are spent in OT, completing the OT spreadsheet, doing all that work so that students are consistently and constantly tracking all of that information. We also, and I don't want to spend too much time because I'm going to come back and forth on a lot of these. We also do a working lunch. This is not a behavior working lunch. This is an academic working lunch. So if students don't have work done, they don't have other things, they need to study for tests, they need to do a retake. That happens during the working lunch, and we have staff designated to cover that during that time. The reason that all of this is important is we want to make sure that academically our kids are prepared for whatever it is that they want to do in their career pathway, and we're going to get to that shortly. On the next part, advising, this is the component that is specifically around working with students to make sure that they are focused on a pathway, that they are narrowing their choices, that they are truly thinking about it. And this is where we really get into what Katie wanted me to talk about today. So we've invested in some human capital. So we do have 2 traditional school counselors here. We have 1 K-8, 1 9-12. So our high school population is right around 260. So imagine 1 school counselor for about 250 students at the high school level is what we're looking at. We have 1 college career readiness coach, and I do cover the district. I am primarily responsible for high school. I take care of all of our college credit. So all of our CCP stuff runs through my office. All of our work-based learning runs through my office. So we have a school counselor who is helping do that, but then I specifically work around the work-based learning, their pathways, and so on. We have SEL specialists at the elementary and high school level who are contracted from outside agencies. Our OT teachers, as I shared, are responsible for 12 to 14 students. All of our pre-K through 12 staff is trained in essential skill instruction, and I'm going to come back to that in a second. And then we do work in partnership with people outside of our district, including Building Bridges to Careers and the ECO-ESC. They have people that are specifically contracted for Noble Local to do things like internships, job shadowing. They help us set up trips for our kids. They help us with pre-apprenticeship work. And so they're doing a lot of the paperwork part for those internships, pre-apprenticeships, and so on to give us more time to work with our students individually. And then our last part, so that's our human capital. And then the last piece of that is we do individual graduation planning. And I think this is the promising practice that Katie was really reaching for when she asked me to speak. So every school, obviously in the state of Ohio, is required to do student success plans for all students. This is not something that is unique to Noble Local. What is unique to Noble Local is we've been doing student success planning with all students prior to it becoming state law. We've actually done this for several years now. And our individual graduation planning, we meet with every student in grades 7 through 12 individually with their parents every single year. So we take paperwork and we send it home, and parents look at it and send it back and call with questions. They are at the table with us. And so the parents are involved, the student is involved, the counselor is involved, the coach is involved. And together we come up with, what does the student's plan look like? A couple resources I'll quickly share. This is our OT spreadsheet. Get it to come up here. So you can kind of see what those OT teachers are tracking. Once it comes across there at the bottom, you'll see the different tabs that are included. So Leader in Me, which I'll get to in a little bit, we're a Leader in Me school. So this is a place where students can keep track of all of their Leader in Me skills that they're learning. They have a grade sheet to keep track of their grades, strength sheet where they record what their strengths are. We also have students use that as part of their email. So we talk about strengths a lot here. We use it for grouping and so on. 3R ratings will go on this spreadsheet. All community service hours are reflected on here. Their school involvement is reflected, and any credentials earned, what they're working towards, and so on. The reason this is so important, and I don't know who all's in the call. I'm not sure if you're classroom teachers, if you're CTE teachers, if you're regular ed teachers, if you are intervention specialists or coaches, or what you do. In order for counselors to keep track of this, which what I hear, that's what's happening. Counselors are being asked to keep track of a lot of this stuff. It is so overwhelming that it cannot be done with fidelity, at least not in the experiences that we've had. By recruiting our teachers, giving them time during the day to do this and work with small groups, a lot of that tracking work is being done for us. So when it comes time for counselors to determine, have students met the requirement for community service seals? What credentials do we need to get in the system? It's not one or two people trying to keep track of hundreds of kids. It's one person tracking 12 to 14 students and then reporting all of that back to the counselors so we can get it in the system. That's what makes this manageable. So that's our OT spreadsheet. I'll show you here really quickly. When I say all of our staff has been trained in essential skill instruction, this is the template that we use, and this is revisited every year during Professional Development Week, which happens prior to the school opening. We have our teacher teams from preschool all the way up work together to determine what are their current action strategies for every essential skill that we require, and what do they plan to do as the year progresses. And so you can look down through here and see those essential skills that we focus on, including collaboration, professionalism, critical thinking, leadership, creativity, and so on. And again, these skills are not new. This all comes from Ohio Means Job, the essential skills that are pretty much required across career pathways for everybody. And so this is the template that we use at the beginning of the year to help our teachers plan what they're going to do around essential skill instruction. After that's done, then we bring in that 3R rubric and we assess our students on the same skills that we've planned for all year. Okay, and back to this, the last thing I wanted to show you on this one was our student success plan. As true educators, we beg, borrow, and steal whenever we can. We actually got this form from another school district who was using it. We've tweaked it, and this is the student success plan that we use for our students. And again, we meet with them every year with their families. We update this form. They bring their OT spreadsheet in, they share that with the counselor and with myself so that we can input information into this system. But as you see at the tabs across the bottom, so we have just a demographic, our planning checklist. So we go over these questions with students every year to make sure that they understand the basics that we're covering. Their career pathway organizer, you can see on the side, we update this by year. So from grade 6 all the way to grade 12. And we complete this together. So this is about a half an hour scheduled appointment that parents and students make with counselors. In order to make this work, we keep hours that our parents can to accommodate our parents. And so during the month of February and March and part of April, I'll be honest, we actually worked evening hours. So we will maybe work from 12 to 6. A couple of times I've been here till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. We do have extended time. And so that is part of the extended time that we use. We keep track of that on timesheets. But we make ourselves available to parents when they can come. We don't want our people to have to take time off work to come in and do this. If we make it accessible for them, it's much easier for them to be willing to come in and sit with us and talk about it. And so we do this with those parents. We have graduation tracking down here where we track all of their credits and their competencies and their readiness and so on. And it goes on. So we have Ohio Means Jobs, their 3R rubric is in here. Military enlistment is part of this. So if we have students interested in military, we have a page specific for military that we talk about the ASVAB and the skills that they're working on and what they still need to do to meet those requirements. Okay. Moving on to the next one.
Beth, I had a quick
Yeah, go ahead.
question. Are you willing to share that student success plan?
Yes, absolutely. I think if it is linked in this document, and as long as you have the link, you should have access and be able to make a copy of that. Like I said, we actually stole it from another district and tweaked it to work for us. So absolutely, absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, the next component I'm going to talk about, so this is our college and career exposure. This is the biggie. This is the meat and potatoes of what we're doing around career advising. So this is going to take me the most time. And again, I know I'm going to be short on time, so I'm going to talk really quickly. Please stop me, Katie, if you need to. So the
Well,
first
and before
part,
you get started, I do
yeah,
have one more question related to
okay.
that. She says, as I understand, 12 students have a teacher who tracks their academic pathway and academic plan. So that's kind of those on target teachers have their group of 12 to 14 students, correct?
Right, right. Now that teacher is not necessarily spending a lot of time with those individual kids, helping them develop their plan. That's what I do. But what they do is they track all the stuff that goes into it. So if we're asking kids to, um, to know what their strengths are, that OT teacher makes sure that those 12 to 14 all know what their strengths are. So when they come in to meet with me individually and we're doing that student success plan and we talk about their strengths, they already know them. So they rattle them off very quickly. That enables us to use that 30-minute appointment time to really focus on their career pathway and their plan and what they need to do moving forward to make that happen.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I am assuming, does the same teacher have the same group of students throughout their high school career, or do they redraft at the beginning of every academic year?
So that has been kind of where our stumbling blocks have fallen. That has been a source of contention. We have two very distinct camps at this high school. One that believe they should have the same kids from the beginning on. The other camp is like, no, we want to we want to redraft and repick and whatever. So what we do is we actually assign freshmen because most of our teachers they don't know the freshmen yet. Now we do, our eighth graders do start here with us at the high school. They do take elective courses with us. So we start to get to know them prior to them being full-time at the high school, but we assign them two groups their first year. And then right now at the end of the freshman year, right before sophomore year starts, our teachers come together and redraft. The first couple years we did it, we actually put students up on the board and teachers went up and they put their name beside the kids they were going to pick. Now we kind of put them into groups as freshmen and then we shuffle them according to their interests, their pathway, and so on throughout the school years. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So around college and career exposure, a lot of this can be found in our career advising policy, and I'm not even going to open that up because that could take a whole hour just to talk about that. But I am linking it in this presentation so you can see it. It does need revamp. This one's a couple years old. Excuse me. And a lot of the things that we've done have changed quite a bit since we first did that plan. So it is actually going to be the second version will come out for the 24-25 school year. But I have linked our current plan here that has all of those activities from preschool all the way up through grade 12. I also want to talk briefly about Business Advisory Council. Our Business Advisory Council at Noble Local is instrumental in our college and career advising. They help us set pathways. They help us with job shadowing and internships. If you have a business advisory council that is willing to do the work with you, it makes it so much easier to provide students opportunities down the road. And so I can't stress that strongly enough. Get in contact with your business advisory council and see how they can help with this work around career advising. The next bullet here is pathway creation. I have a link here. I'll show you really quickly. So a lot of the work that we do here, we're a small school. We have 22 full-time teachers at the high school. We cannot possibly do all careers that every kid wants. There are thousands of careers. And so what we've done here is we do a focused pathways. This is based on regional data that shows what jobs are available in our community and where most of our students are going to get higher education and where they're going to work. And so currently, our pathways, and this is a working document, it changes slightly every year, are ag, medical health, and manufacturing construction. Those are our three big pathways. We provide curriculum around those pathways, credentialing up to 12 points in each of those pathways, as well as college credit where it is available. in those pathways, and included also is education and business tech. We do have a teacher academy here, and we have a business pathway. And so we include that kind of for those students specifically who are doing that. But our three big columns are the first three that you'll see there. Now going back to this, the reason that we really focus on that, we do the divergent path. So we want all kids to know that first we find your path, then we figure out what you want to do within that. And so we have exit points for whatever their goal. Some kids want to go straight to work. Some of our kids need to go straight to work. And so we have that as an option. We want to make sure that those kids are the best prepared when it comes to interviewing, to the jobs that are available. We want our kids to be first in line, to know that they are prepared for whatever comes. So we do have a straight to work path. We have an advanced credential certificate program for students who want to get into the workforce, but want to start at a higher level with those skills. And then we also have a college pathway for every path that we have. For each career pathway, there's a college direct. We are a branch campus of Zane State College. We offer enough credits on on our high school campus that our students can actually graduate from here with an Associate of Science degree and never have to leave our campus. So that has been really instrumental in being as successful as we have been. So students can actually graduate with their associate's degree at the same time that they're graduating from college. The reason that's important for us in this rural high school is our closest college campus is about 40 minutes away. And so we're literally putting our students in cars and driving them. Our career tech program, some of them are up to an hour away. And so we had students driving a bus for an hour to get here, to get on a bus and go another hour to their career tech program. We had to provide access and opportunity right here in order for kids to be able to do the things they wanted to do. So that has been really vital in moving our programs forward. Some other things we've done to expose students to college and career opportunities. We work with Building Bridges to Careers and our Business Advisory Council partners to set up real world problem-based scenarios. They do these starting in the middle school and all the way through high school. And those are programs where our business and industry partners come in and they work with our teachers to create problem-based scenarios for students to solve. And so they're bringing their real business concerns to the classrooms, letting kids work on it, and it gives them a taste of what those jobs look like, what they have to look forward to, and so on. We also have a huge work-based learning model here. We have a schedule, which is kind of unique, and I did not link it in this presentation, but I can get it to people if they want it. We created a schedule here that we call a modified block. And so we have an 8-period day that's kind of traditional high school, but we run on an odd day, even day schedule. So they have a block class of odd periods. So periods 1, 3, 5, and 7 meet on Monday and Wednesdays. Periods 2, 4, 6, and 8 meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then all classes meet on Friday. The reason that has been important is it has provided us a vessel in which students can leave this high school. We don't hold them hostage here. They are pretty much open campus starting junior year. We have kids that take class on Mondays and Wednesdays and are completely in the workforce on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So they're doing pre-apprenticeships, they're doing internships, they're out doing work-based learning, earning the 250 hours of work-based learning that they need for that requirement. And they're doing that during the school day. So it's not in addition to what they're doing here. That schedule has allowed us to do that. We also, more traditional things at the bottom here, small group tours, individual job shadowing. We try to provide every single student, sophomore through seniors, with job shadowing opportunities. I think this year, and I might have the number wrong, I want to say it's 53% of our senior class is involved in a specific work-based learning opportunity, where they're either doing an internship, a pre-apprenticeship, they're doing the 250 hours of work-based learning. It's over 50% this year, which is awesome. And then I also have down here our College and Career Expo. We try to bring in speakers in all 16 career fields. We have the general stuff in the gym where they can see business and industry. They can get information so they can turn in applications and apply for jobs. And and so on. So we do those more traditional things. The differences I feel for us is that kids really are starting to look at, what is my path? What do I want to do after high school? And it enables them to really be selective when it comes to those tours and the job shadowing and the expo. A piece that I forgot to mention that's on here, you'll see on their middle school elective options. There's a link in here, and I'm going to run out of time, so I'm not going to click on it. We've expanded our middle school elective options to include career pathway exploration. So they take a careers class in 6th grade. We also offer in the 5 through 7 world classes in engineering and medical and agriculture. So they're aligned to our pathways, but they can take electives. There's a flight and space course. There's a green jobs, natural resources. There's STEM, robotics. So many options that they're offered at the elementary level, and 9 weeks, or I'm sorry, middle school level, 9 weeks courses they can take, get some exposure that will lead them hopefully to know exactly what it is that they want to do later. And our 8th graders, as I said earlier, do start their day with us. They do their electives here with us in the morning, and then they go back for their core to the middle school. Our goal within 2 years is we're hoping to have the 7th and 8th grade actually at the high school so that they are fully integrated into our high school programming.
Beth, while we talk a
Really,
little bit more about pathways, sorry to interrupt
no,
again,
that's okay.
could you expand on how you define the students' pathways? Is it based on surveys? Is it based on that science data or any other
Yes.
system?
So that's when we talk about that early exposure and why we're starting that earlier with students. So when they sit down and meet with us as, with their families, they sit down, we're looking at that plan. We talk about, okay, what is it you want to do after high school right now? With the understanding they can change their mind a million times. And believe me, I've had kids that have changed their mind 100 times from grade 9 to grade 12, and that's okay. We want them to do that now when it's free and they have some time to really, really develop some options. It's just as important to figure out what they don't want to do as it is to figure out what they do. And so we start with that and say, okay, you're going into 8th grade, you're going to start taking high school electives. Let's talk about what you think you want to do right now. And we actually have pathways. So the one graphic I showed that has our pathways listed, I also have a breakdown, and it changes every year, but it shows if you're in the ag pathway and you want to go to college in ag, here are the classes that you should take. If you want to go straight to high school, here are the classes that you should take. And it will have credentials built in along the way, college courses where they're applicable, so that they kind of have an idea of what it is they want to take. We do a 4-year high school program when we do their schedule. So we look at what you're going to take next year, but we also develop what are we going to do sophomore year, junior year, senior year if you stick with this path. So that way they're experiencing that all along the way. And then we tweak it, we change it, we amend it, whatever it is we need to do for each individual student. So we literally have 260 very individual paths based on what those students want to do, what they think they want to go into, how much education they think they want to have, and so on. And we hope to get them to that point with the youth science, the interest inventories, the strength training, and so on. So if kids come in as freshmen or 8th grade and say, I have no idea what I want to do, that's when we start looking at, okay, let's take all of these things that we've done and let's look at some things you might be good at, some things that you're already inclined to be interested in. And we'll start from that and then work our way down. And I don't want to imply that we have 100% of our seniors graduating knowing exactly what they want to do. But one of the things that we feel very strongly about is if we have a kid walking across that stage on graduation day and they do not know what they're going to do on Monday after graduation, that is educational malpractice. We have not done what we needed to do to ensure that they're going to be successful. And so the more conversations we have, the more opportunities they have, the greater chance that they're going to make an informed decision that's going to be something they stick with later.
Awesome. Thank you. And then one additional question. These are really good questions. Thank you guys for putting them in the chat. That career fair expo, is that only for seniors or is it for all high school students?
It is actually for all students starting in grade 7. And so what we do is we have them come up here and start the day. We actually have other high schools in the area who also send a bus of kids over. Usually those are juniors and seniors, but we have people send their students here for that as well. We have the military will be there in attendance. A lot of colleges, you have all those college reps come throughout the year. I'll be completely honest, our students do not often go to those reps, and it's because they're so focused on their academics, they don't have time. And so that's a great opportunity for them to meet with college and career people. We have large group sessions where we talk about essential skill instruction, putting your best foot forward, interviewing, how do you dress for an interview, mock interview questions things you might see in an interview. And then we have individuals within the 16 pathways that are doing 20-minute sessions where they're talking about their career, the educational requirements of that career, what you can expect in the day of a life of this career. And those are organized by pathway. So kids can move around and check. What we're going to do differently this year is I'm making them do a passport for the expo. So they have to tell me what sessions they went to. They can choose 3 sessions. The 4th session has to be from their youth science. So it has to be a career that youth science says, hey, you might be great at this, but they've never considered it. And I'm requiring them to go and at least listen to something outside of their normal comfort zone. Again, to increase that exposure, give them more opportunities, and maybe they'll find out something that they didn't even know existed.
Very cool. Thank you.
I'm going to quickly go through a couple things on the next couple slides. So I have just a few minutes left for questions at the end. College application enrollment, this is nothing earth-shattering. We do college application month in October. A lot of high schools do that. We do have a financial aid night. I bring college financial aid people in, and they actually do FAFSA workshops with our parents. What we've run into is a lot of our kids don't have internet access. We're working on that as a county, but it's still a problem that we have. And so we provide them the internet access here with college financial people who can help them answer questions. So that's just a little about that. A lot of schools really push that all kids do the FAFSA, all kids do college applications, and I know that's important. But by the time our kids get to senior year, our hope is that they are so confident in their next step that we focus that more on those kids that we know need to do it. It makes it easier for us as the adult advisors to help those kids focus if we're not doing the same work with all kids. We are really focused on those individuals and what they may need. Family knowledge, here's some important things that I wanted to throw in here. Our parents get a weekly wire. We send that out every week to our parents that has all of our events, our activities, scholarships. We need parents to be informed. We keep pushing that we want our kids to be independent. We want them to be able to do this without parents, but realistically, parents still have to be involved in order for kids to truly be successful with all of this stuff. The more we can include our parents and inform our parents, the better we will be. So we do have those individual graduation planning meetings. We have a parent advisory. We also have a student advisory that is fantastic. If a student is on student advisory, their parents are automatically invited to be on the parent advisory. It is a very diverse group of students, everyone from students on IEPs, straight to work, kids who are at risk of dropping out, college credit kids are on there, our athletes are on there. So it's a very diverse group, which makes our parent advisory very diverse. And we basically bring them in and say what's going well, what's not going well, and what are your suggestions for improvement. So that has been really beneficial. We do have a back to school bash, nothing earth shattering there. We do our freshman orientation that night. It includes a scavenger hunt. We have kids who come back and talk to them about their experiences in college and work and why it was important that they pay attention in high school for the work that they're doing today. So we do that. And then we also have a curriculum showcase in the spring. We invite our entire community to that. All of our classroom teachers, our students do presentations about what they're learning, the skills they've gotten, our certificate programs, credential programs, and so on. So curriculum showcase is a huge piece of that knowledge for community and families. Military enlistment, again, nothing earth-shattering here, other than we do have a military wall. It covers the entire wall between our gym and our cafeteria, because we want to give honor to those people who have served and let our kids know that this is a big deal. We do not have a lot of students in this region that go into the military. And so we want to provide that exposure to those students who may be interested as well. Professional development, this is the last piece of this. So this is, how do we enforce to them that this stuff is important, that it's more than just getting an A in a chemistry class. It really is about learning those essential skills, being a leader, taking responsibility for your own learning, for your own education. And that's a huge piece of this, is that our kids they need to be partners in their own plan, not just someone who receives it and it's done to them. It needs to be done with them. And so we talked about the 3R rubric. We are a Leader in Me school. We do Leader in Me based on the 7 habits of highly effective people. We start that in preschool here. And so our littles are learning, what does it mean to be proactive? What does it mean to think win-win? And so we do that early on, so that when they get to high school, the language is already there. They already know what the expectation is. And now we can take it to that higher level. I spoke a little bit about student advisory. What people really don't understand when I mention student advisory is our student advisory kids do everything here. We do tours for schools in this district roughly once every 2 weeks. We have a school coming to visit. Our students do the entire thing. They plan the day, they do the tours, they talk about it. We actually hire students. They're on the school district payroll to be interns in STEM. They work in the Fab Lab, they work in IT. And so we actually hire those students, because it doesn't look very good if we're saying our kids are ready. We won't hire them, but you should. So we kind of put our money where our mouth is. We have students who do all of this. Our student advisory determines a lot of our curriculum. They determine our schedule. They have just been instrumental in so much that we have accomplished over the years. And then the last piece, that's kind of out of order, but I kind of wanted to end with this because I feel that it's huge. We are a STEM designated school district. We are the only STEM school in Southeast Ohio, I think still. And we were the very first district K-12 to ever gain STEM designation. The reason that's important is because what we found is I can't teach kids about every career. I just can't. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough teachers. We don't have enough resources. Nobody can do that. What we can do is we can teach them skills that they can use no matter what they do, no matter where they go. STEM is the answer. And so we use inquiry-based curriculum, STEM, problem-based learning, starting in preschool all the way up. And what that does is it teaches our kids how to be critical thinkers, how to work collaboratively in teams, how to do all of those things that they're going to have to do regardless of their path, regardless of their career choice, regardless of whether or not they're enlisted, enrolled, or employed. Those are skills that they're going to use no matter where they go. I told you that was a whole lot to talk about. So what other questions can I answer?
Thank you so much, Beth. Yes, if you have questions, feel free to stick those in the chat, or we are a fairly small group. You can come off mute. One question that we received was obviously getting the link to the slides. And I know you'll share those with maybe Melissa and I after them being Google Slides. I don't know if you're able to drop those in the chat for those that are here. If not, we can make sure that that's on the Google site post presentation today.
Okay.
And your contact information, if you can share that as well.
Absolutely. Yes, I'll share that in the chat right now. Change this to everyone. Okay, there's my
Great.
email.
Getting some great feedback. This has been amazing. I have so many ideas now. And that was the goal of this wonderful, promising practice to share. What does your parent advisory group do? If you can elaborate on that a little bit.
Yes, so the parent advisory group, again, we have a 3-question format that we use with advisory. So it's what's going well, what's not going well, and suggestions for improvement. And so we basically bring them in, like, what do you like? What is being positive? where do we still have work to do? And so some of the things that have come out of that, one of the big issues is communication. Like, how do we get all of this information packaged to give to parents, to community, to students? Like, there are things happening at the high school that our elementary teachers didn't even know were going on. So how do we get that information out? The parent advisory has been huge on helping us come up with communication strategies and doing things like that. They help us with the curriculum development, looking at like what is available to our kids, what is accessible to kids, helping us with that accessibility piece is huge because we don't, like I said, a lot of our people don't have internet access. They don't have cell phone towers. In all regions of the county. And so how do we get that information, get that access to kids? How do we provide opportunities for kids maybe in areas that we hadn't thought about yet? And so parents can bring that to the table, which has been really helpful. Sometimes too, I think we get lost in all of the career advising and all of the great things we're doing. And we forget that we're also traditional high school. We need to make sure that we're taking care of the mental health of our students and that we're providing them with the resources that their families need to help them be healthy and successful and happy. And so parent advisory has been huge in that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Um, I am going to draw everybody's attention really quickly over to a couple of QR codes. So we really appreciate you being here with us this morning. So we would love if you could provide some feedback to us. And then if you need a certificate for your attendance today, that QR code is there as well. I will also redirect you back to the Google site with information on the sessions that are upcoming this afternoon. We do have some time built in for a quick lunch break, so the next session won't begin until 12:30. Melissa, if you wouldn't mind maybe dropping that Google site in the chat for me, you can go there and review where you would like to attend those afternoon sessions. Again, Beth, thank you so much. I am incredibly biased since this is the district that I both attended and still live in, but the things that are happening at Noble Local are just incredible, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share that with everybody here today. So
Thank
thank
you.
you all for being here. Thank you, Beth, for sharing, and we will see everybody back at 12:30.
Thank you.
Katie, do you want to make me the host again? And I'll do what Radisha did and stop the recording.
Yep. You are back to host.